And you, and you, and you. And you were there. Some of it wasn't very nice, but most of it was beautiful.
And we're back.
Yes, we are. Barely for one of us. So
Barely. It's been a COVID-tacular week for one of us, and you can just guess which one, I guess. Not me.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Sniffleupagus over here. Folks, if you're not vaccinated yet, please do it. I'm double vaccinated and boosted, and it's still an unpleasant ride. So I'm on the mend, but hopefully we'll get through this episode without me passing out. So woohoo!
Goals. Good to have goals for every episode. Let's not have a medical emergency at some point during the episode. Well, welcome back, folks. This is Fabulous Old Dream Idiots with Morris and Bryan. We're back again, and thanks for listening and subscribing and sharing and doing all those things. It occurred to me we hadn't really mentioned the fact that you can find us on both Facebook and Instagram. Actually, we're under Dream Idiots on both of those. We're actually getting, people are finding us strangely on Instagram. I'm not really sure how or why, including a couple. I won't mention this now because I don't think we can share this. But a couple fairly big, fairly prominent true crime podcasts liked our Instagram. I don't know how they found us.
Oh, all right.
Considering we keep issuing the disclaimer that we are not a true crime podcast.
No, what you're doing to podcasting is criminal, is what they're trying to tell us.
Right. So they're finding us, and I'm wondering if it's related to the fact I just noticed I drilled into our analytics and to see who's listening and what they're listening to, and the episode that we did, episode 22, Shortcut to Murder, and Austin Love Triangle, has about 50% more listens than any other episode. And so I wonder if people are just Googling crime titles. And so we should probably just drop, every single episode title we have going forward should just have something that sounds like it's true crime, even though it's not.
Like how the first 9 episodes of Family Guy have the word death in them because he wanted death to be in every episode title. Yeah.
So this week, this is the part-time librarian, part-time murder. I don't know.
It is kind of funny, Bryan, because my topic for today is, are we ready to start?
Yeah, we are ready. Go.
Bryan, think back to your high school Latin class that you didn't take. What does Ultima Verba mean, do you think?
Ultima, the world's greatest verb. No.
Close. I've been thinking about these a lot lately. It's my rough Latin translation, and Latin scholars are going to start throwing things at their podcasting device. Last words.
Okay.
So what I've got here, Bryan, is I've got a list of 207 known communists working in the State Department. Oh, wait, no, I don't. That's another list. What I've got here is I've got a list of 20 last words that I'd like to talk to you about. I got all these from Wikipedia because this is hilarious. I'm going to tell you some of these, and then I'm going to give some to you in the form of a brief 13-question quiz.
Oh,
if you can guess.
Shoot me in the face.
To see if you can guess who said it. But I've got 7 I want to start with that really were indefinably funny or great or in some way just a magnificent summing up of a life. So here we go. Do you know who Eddie Aikau is, Bryan?
No idea.
He was a Hawaiian surfer, and he was well known for his panache, and he was surfing in the 60s and 70s. His last words were, and there was a voyaging canoe named the Hokulea. Have you know what his words are now?
Cowabunga? No.
Nope. Don't worry, I can do it. I can get to land. The voyaging canoe he was with ran into problems, and so he got on a surfboard and started paddling back to land to get help. That was the last time it was ever seen. The rest of the canoe's crew was actually rescued. And so if you ever see a t-shirt or a bumper sticker that says Eddie would do it, that's who it's referring to, Eddie Aikau. Don't worry, I can do it. I can get to land.
Okay.
The spirit of helping your brother out of a problem at the risk of your own life. Yeah, don't worry, I can do
extreme
it.
peril.
To land. Yeah. Okay. Now this is a great one. January 3rd, 1979. This gentleman was asked if he had any final words of wisdom. This man was Conrad Hilton. Do you know that name?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yes. Hilton Hotels, I assume.
Leave the shower curtain on the inside of the tub.
That's awesome.
All the kids today are fascinated with Tallulah Bankhead, who died December 12th, 1968, the great American actress. They're not, but that's a great name, Tallulah Bankhead.
Mm.
And she was a hell of an actress. Her last two words, Bryan, were codeine, bourbon. Do you know who Breaker Morant is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you know what his final words were?
I say that. I've seen the movie Breaker Morant
With Edward Woodward and Brian Brown.
Yeah. So Australian, it's a legal, well-known, well-documented legal. I mean, it's a legal fiction, and spoiler alert, I know that they are executed at the end. He was the main defendant, I guess.
Yep. February 1902, February 27th, Breaker Morant said to his fire.
And I do know this one, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Something close to shoot straight, don't make a mess of it.
Shoot straight, you bastards, don't make a mess of it. Yeah, right before he shot. Yeah. This American screenwriter in June 28th, 1975, in a note written from his hospital bed to his colleague, Owen Kimura, one of my personal heroes. Rod Serling's final words were, "You can't kill this tough Jew."
Yeah, okay.
And he was a tough dude. Now, these next two, these are the last two of the ones I'm just going to give you here. These are related, so I'm going to give you the dates. The first one is Just Don't Leave Me Alone for March 5th, 1982, before this person died of a drug overdose. And then from December 18th, 1997, this person said, "Don't leave me." He was found dead in his hotel room the next day. These were spoken by, respectively, John Belushi and Chris Farley.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty eerie, similar words there. Just don't leave me alone, and please don't leave me. All right, Bryan, here we go. Here's my 13-question quiz for you on final words.
Okay. Kill me now.
This great American entertainer passed from this earth on July 27, 2003. And he was asked by his wife where he wanted to be buried. He was 100 years old when he died. His final words were, when she said, "Where do you want to be buried?" were, "Surprise me." I thought you'd like that one.
100 years old in 2003. Shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I was thinking like Charlie Chaplin, but I know he died in late 70s, early 80s. No clue.
Bob Hope.
Oh.
Bob Hope's final words. Some of these are written, some of these are spoken. One of them is actually a tweet. I'll get to that in a moment. This actress, died August of 1962. And her last words were, "Say goodbye to Pat, say goodbye to the president, and say goodbye to yourself because you're a nice guy. I'll see.
Marilyn Monroe?
Marilyn Monroe. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was spoken to Peter Lawford, who was JFK's brother-in-law. He was married to Patricia Kennedy. Anyway. Okay. This American entertainer, performer, died May 16th, 1990, as he was being, I believe, wheeled off to surgery. To his wife, Jane, this person said, "See you later. I feel like I'm in good hands." And the key is hands.
Oh, shit. Well, fuck me. I don't know. I was thinking
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson. Okay.
Yeah. Hands, puppeteer.
Yeah.
This British comedian, actor, writer, director, producer who died October 4th, 1989. His final words were, in response to a nurse who suddenly stuck a needle in his arm and he yelled something out. His final words were, "Sorry for saying fuck."
1989.
Yep.
Sorry for saying fuck.
British actor, producer, writer, comedian.
Peter Sellers? No, he died way earlier than that.
Yeah, he died in 81 or 80 or 81.
Shoot. Graham Chapman?
Graham Chapman of Monty
Oh,
Python.
my God.
Yes. Good one, Brian. Here's an American actor's final words. January 11th, 1979, from one of our favorite sitcoms. This actor was being wheeled into the operating room. He said to one of his co-stars, "Must have been the coffee."
I'm sorry. What year?
January 11th, 1979.
79. Shit. Oh, I don't know.
Jack Sue, who played Yamana on Barney Miller and was always making bad coffee, said that to Hal Linden as he was being wheeled into the operating room. It must have been the coffee. March 5th, 1953, originally spoken in Russian. This statesman, his final words said, "I'm finished. I don't even trust myself."
Khrushchev?
Nope.
Stalin?
Stalin. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Khrushchev was way later. That's right. Yeah.
And he was right not to trust himself.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a curse word alert for this next one. I should have given you one on the Graham Chapman one, and it's also going to be one where I'm going to attempt an impersonation to help you out. Okay, so
okay.
American entertainer died on Christmas Day, 1946, and he was addressing his mistress, a woman named Carlotta Monti, and his final words were, "God damn the whole fucking world and everyone in it but you, Carlotta."
That must be a terrible impression. I have no idea.
That was W.C. Fields.
W.C.
Final
Fields.
words.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, but I'm sick. I'm sick.
Here's my impression of W.C. Fields with COVID.
Yeah. Okay. Here's one from maybe July 2nd. We're not quite sure. Depends on where you are in the world. It was done as a radio transmission, July 2nd, 1937. This person's final words were, "We are running on line north and south."
Amelia Earhart?
Amelia Earhart. Damn, you pulled that one out of the ether.
Or could have been Fred Noonan. Was the name of her navigator.
Right. I believe that was her last confirmed words. Look at you pulling Noonan out of there.
Pulling shit out of my ass.
Please don't. We have children listening too. Okay. This American musician who passed away August 16, 1977's final words were reportedly, "I'm going to the bathroom to read."
That's Presley.
That is Elvis Presley.
To read pill bottles. But,
this American humanitarian and activist and all-around badass died March 10th, 1913. The final words were, "Swing low, sweet chariot."
Fuck. I'm not.
It was a woman. It was a woman. I'll give you a hint.
1913.
Mm-hmm. American humanitarian, activist, and all-around badass.
Florence Nightingale.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman. Oh shit, that makes me a bad American. I don't know that.
Well, this one will too if you miss this next one. This was the final tweet. And I'm not even going to tell you what this person's profession
Final tweet
was.
from 1912.
That's right. February 27th, 2015. This person's final words were to the public, and the final tweet were, "A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved, except in memory. Live long and prosper."
Oh, I assume that's Leonard Nimoy.
That is Leonard Nimoy. Very good.
Yeah.
June 28th, 1914. Upon being shot in German, this person exclaimed, It is nothing. It is nothing.
Archduke Ferdinand.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Yep. It's nothing. It's just going to launch the largest land war in Europe and
Right.
cause millions of deaths. It's nothing. It's nothing.
But 100 years later, he wasn't a really good sort of techno pop band, though. So that's
Yeah, that's true. that what's that called? Your second act. Yeah. All right. This person's final words were, and I'm only going to give you the date, November 24th, 1963. This person's final words were, ugh, fuck.
Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. Very good, Bryan. I'm not sure. Let me see what you got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, man, you got 8 out of 13. Of course, now one of the ones
Still
you
a failing
missed,
grade, but
well, one of the ones you missed was a bad impersonation, the W.C. Fields.
right.
Another one that I wanted to include, but I didn't want to ruin the 20, so I'll just have as a bonus here is I find this great. This person was asked by his wife, who was deaf, will you leave me? And his final word to her in sign language was no. And then he passed away. Alexander Graham Bell.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Liar.
I think, yeah, right. I think that was Alexander Graham Bell. I didn't write that one down, but kind of interesting that that one went out that way with sign language. Anyway,
Yeah.
Why did I pick this? I picked this because we needed something kind of lighthearted after last week, and I've had this in my sleeve for a while. But I've always been fascinated by last words because, there's that old joke of what are the 2 most frequent last words, or last words. Watch this, or right?
Right. Spot me.
but yeah, I've always been fascinated by it. I guess since the first time I heard Oscar Wilde's, what is quoted to be Oscar Wilde's final words. How are you feeling, Oscar? Well, I'm having a battle with these curtains, and either these curtains go or I do. Just as what kind of mark do we leave is on the way out? And there's so many ways to leave our final words these days.
Oh yeah, sure.
It used to have to be word of mouth, but now we have, or what do you use, written correspondence? But I mean, we have a tweet in there. So, any of your favorites that I may have missed?
Yeah, I was struggling. I mean, I know I'm drawing a blank right this second. I mean, there are several that I think are interesting and sort of poignant or funny, or depending on who it was. Supposedly, it's the case that a large number of last quotes it's just shit that was made up. Because the last words were actually, "God damn, that hurts," or
Yeah, right,
or something that was completely, in no way memorable or articulate at all. And so, person dies, and quickly spouse and whoever gathers and what should we say his last words were, because that really sucked. So we'll come up with something that's in iambic pentameter that he said instead. Right, so
I just think of that bit from that movie Real Genius, Socrates' last words. I drank what? I drank what?
Yeah.
Another one that I wanted to include, but I just didn't for brevity's sake, was reportedly what Patton's last words were.
Oh yeah.
You remember how Patton died?
No.
Towards the end of the war, his Jeep overturned and he had a broken neck. And his last words were, "This is a hell of a way to die." And then apparently he died. So very, very appropriate for Patton.
Wow.
And I do apologize for all the swearing. But man, that's the last words. I'm not about to change someone's Ultima Verba. So
yeah, we're tagged as explicit in all of the podcast apps. So
as well as we should be. But
yeah. So if you were offended, sorry, it's kind of on you at this point. There's a big fat E right in front of the title. It says, "Yeah, this is not for cheering."
There are a couple of potty mouths, especially the tall one.
Right.
All right. Do we have a curse word of the week?
We do. Here we go.
It's time for the Dream Idiot's curse word of the week.
And so this one I stumbled across, and frankly, I have so many now. So I have such a backlog of curse words. I may have to start rolling off the lesser, less funny ones, and just start posting them on Instagram once every couple of days, because some of them are pretty funny. But this one I genuinely laughed out loud at when I first heard it.
Fuctangular. An adjective to describe a situation that is complicated and messy in multiple unpleasant and difficult ways. Similar to clusterfuck, except an adjective instead of a noun.
Damn it, Bryan. Okay.
So sounds like we killed him.
Oh God.
Mission
Bryan.
accomplished. So it's not fucktacular, fuctangular. It's a very important but subtle distinction. You could also, sort of like foobar, and the references to fuctangular that go back sort of at least 10 years. But then when I first stumbled across this, it was the first reference I see of it. There's someone on, I think this is Twitter, a woman who is a teacher somewhere, named Hannah Blank, Hanne blank. So at Hannah Blank, she wrote as in the form of a tweet. One of my students has used the word fuctangular in an informal essay. I'm in the presence of greatness, and I'm stealing this word. And so when I first looked it up, that seemed like it was the original source of fuctangular, but then that says it was from 2018. But anyway, fuctangular. Complicated and messy in multiple unpleasant and difficult ways. We're planting seeds here, Andrew Idiots. We hope some of them sprout and grow, but you never know.
All I'm thinking of is all the geometry proofs I had to write when I was in high school. That's
right. A squared plus B squared equals fuctangular. So
okay.
All right, so moving on into other things here that are mostly silly after a week or two of a little bit heavier stuff. So so you've heard of Brown versus Board of Education. You've heard of Roe v. Wade, and I'm bringing you another but lesser known legal action. Today we're talking about Malaprop versus Spoonerism. So word versus Wordplay Part 2.
God.
And don't worry, I'm not actually going to quiz you on any of this and expect you to fill in the blank. Maybe a tiny bit, but do you know the definition of either one?
A spoonerism is where you actually transpose like parts of the word, like instead of, my favorite is thermal underwear, thunderwear, right? Is that a spoonerism?
Yes. Yeah. So a spoonerism is when two words in a sentence or phrase, the beginning of those words are swapped. And a malaprop is basically when one word is swapped out for another word that is similar, but it's swapped out for amusing effect. So instead of dance a flamenco, dance a flamingo.
Gotcha. And that comes from a character in a play, right? Mrs. Malaprop, I think, is where that comes from. I don't know.
You're spot on. When I first had the idea of kind of covering this, I forget who I was talking about this with, but someone said to me, hey, there's a character from some play named Mrs. Spooner? I'm like, oh, that sounds right. And then when I started doing the research, not quite right. So there's a character named Mrs. Malaprop in a play called
and that person committed a malaprop about a malaprop. Then
there you go. It's like a meta malaprop. I don't know. So yeah, Richard Brinsley Sheridan had a play called The Rivals from 1775.
Yeah, that's right. And
so Mrs. Malaprop is she constantly is using the wrong word, and swapping out one word for another that sounds close to the right word, but is not. And her name Malaprop is actually comes from the French phrase for inappropriate. I'm throwing this in because I thought this was interesting, even though no one else is going to find this interesting. But the fact that her name is the definition of the word inappropriate in French is an example of an aptronym a name that fits some aspect of a character. So an aptronym. We had,
okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was sort of interesting. So some other examples of Malaprops. He's the very pineapple of politeness. Pinnacle is what she meant. She's as headstrong as an allegory on the banks of the Nile.
Alligator?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's these are used quite a bit. I mean, so Mrs. Malaprop is in a play from 1775, but there are what are effectively malaprops before then because they're in Shakespeare in a few different places. Much Ado About Nothing, Constable Dogberry uses multiple versions of malapropisms. This constable says, "Our watch, sir, have indeed comprehended two auspicious persons," when they said should have been suspicious rather than auspicious. Gotcha. A character in Falstaff says someone was indicted to dinner versus invited. In Mark Twain in Huckleberry Finn, Aunt Sally says that she was most putrefied with astonishment.
Petrified?
Instead of petrified, right? And then there are dozens of examples, and these maybe aren't quite as interesting in certain respects because these are things that were scripted and written as for a TV character. But Archie Bunker had a whole boatload of these for All in the Family. At one point, saying to his wife, "What I look like an inferior decorator." And then also said, in closing, I'd like to say Molotov instead of Mazel Tov. So, there are also, as you may recall, there are tons of these from various celebrities and politicians. Good old George Bush had lots of these, lots and lots of these. Talked about Texas having a lot of electrical votes.
Yes.
I just love this one. I mean, you can generally assume that people that they fall victim to these are folks that are just not very bright. Mike Tyson was being interviewed in 2002, and a reporter asked him where he was going to go from here after he just lost a fight to whoever it was, Buster Douglas or whoever. Tyson replied, "I might just fade into Bolivian."
Fade into Bolivian?
Bolivian, yeah. Justin Bieber one time, Letterman was interviewing him, and Letterman said, "If you had any more tattoos, you'd look just like the Sistine Chapel." And Bieber replied, "I'm not going for the 16th chapter look." Started laughing halfway through it. "I'm not going for the 16th chapel look." No, not 16th, you ass clown. There are tons more from politicians, and actually, I'm not really sure if obviously Yogi Berra is there are dozens or hundreds of quotes for him. Some of his quotes
he's a category unto himself.
Right. Right. So I sort of set him aside. George W. Bush said in 2000, "We cannot let terrorists and rogue nations hold this nation hostile or hold our allies hostile." He meant hostage. Boston's mayor, Thomas Menino. I don't know who he was talking about, but he referred to someone being a man of great stature in our city. He meant stature. And then another mayor, Richard Daley in Chicago, was talking about he enjoyed the use of tantrum bicycles. And then mentioned that
I'm picturing somebody dressed up like a mayor with the sash that says mayor, just screaming at people as he's riding on one of those old style bikes, the penny farthings.
But yeah, right. And then in reference to Chicago's O'Hare Airport, referred to the airport as the crosswords of the nation. Close enough. Gib Lewis, the old Speaker of the House in Texas in the 80s, supposedly said, "This is unparalleled in the state's history." He meant unparalleled, whatever the hell he was talking about. And then somewhere in the in Sopranos, some character refers to having to look refers to their last will and testicle, which I think's
That sounds like Polly Walnuts would say that. I think that was him actually. That character, yeah, I think, or maybe Christopher. I don't know.
I watched a grand total of 2 minutes of that entire series. I don't know those characters at all. So that was Malaprops. Spoonerism is a verbal error that happens when someone, as I started to say earlier, when the beginning of two words are swapped. And so the initial sounds or letters are changed and it comes out funny. And these are always sort of funnier when they're done accidentally. And so, you have hissed the mystery lectures versus you have missed the history lectures. And they are, sort of, I don't know, the fact that the people do this is, I don't know, it's just sort of silly. They're named for a gentleman named William Archibald Spooner. So this is a real person. This is not a person in the play. He was the Oxford Don, and he's an ordained minister at Oxford. And it says he was renowned for doing this. And but there are apparently very, very few examples of his where he actually did it. But what apparently happened is his reputation for doing this a lot maybe preceded him, and so students and other folks around Oxford started making them up and attributing them to him, even though he didn't actually ever say them. So there were like collections of books of Spoonerisms. None of these things were things he ever actually said, but they were just allegedly attributed to him. There also was, I was doing some research. So Francois Rabelais in, again, much earlier, 16th century, also was apparently big into these as well and used them quite a bit. But it seemed a little difficult and esoteric to try to talk about French Spoonerisms. So I'm gonna probably skip that. So, but one of the ones that I think was allegedly attributed to Spooner, but was actually a joke, was he was supposedly said, "The Lord is a shoving leopard," instead of "The Lord is a loving shepherd." This guy died in 1930, and I'm trying to find the one that he was actually allegedly really did was he was in the pulpit and he was announcing that they're about to sing a hymn. The title of the hymn was "Conquering Kings, Their Titles Take." What apparently he actually said was "Kinkering Kongs, Their Titles Take." Like, are you having a stroke in the pulpit? Can't quite figure out what's going on. So some other ones that around that same period of time, Lord of the Shoving Leopard, I already mentioned that one. Is the Bean dizzy? Is the Dean busy? And these are sort of rife in a bunch of other modern day life as well. There is a comedy sketch group in Washington, D.C. called the Capitol Steps, which I'm sure you've heard of because they actually had a TV show at one point a million years ago. They have a regular routine called Lurdy Dies, featuring a main character called Resident Pagan. That's a takeoff of President Reagan.
Okay.
I've never seen this book, which is a little peculiar considering my mother ran a children's bookstore for years and years. But apparently there was a book that was published posthumously by Shel Silverstein called Runny Babbitt, a Billy Sook. Bunny Rabbit, a silly book. And the main characters were Dummy and Mad instead of Mommy and Dad. So again, all very heavy on the Spoonerisms. And then a few of them here that are just from music. There's a American musician named Rit Momney.
Okay.
A band called Punk and Drublick. Another musician called Com Trues. One called Mord Fustang. And I
like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. And it says an electronic artist named Son Holo. Like, okay. And then as sort of a compliment to Spoonerisms, there's a writer, this guy named Douglas Hofstadler, who came up with the term, to complement Spoonerism, came up with the terms kniferism and forkerism to refer to changing changing the vowels of two words or the final consonants of two syllables, giving them new meaning. And a couple of samples of kniferism that apparently were uttered on the air. BBC television newsreader once referred to police at a crime scene removing a hypodemic nurdle. A television announcer once said that all the world was thrilled by the marriage of the Duck and Duchess of Windsor. Close enough. And then 1931, a very early radio presenter, a guy named Harry Von Zell.
I know this one.
So the president who was president right before FDR was named
Hebert Hoover. Hubert Heaver.
Right.
Yeah.
He announced that here he is, ladies and gentlemen, our president, Hubert Heaver. That apparently is a kniferism.
It's even better if Hail to the Chief is playing behind that one too.
Right. How stupid would you feel if you managed to completely fuck that up? So there you go, folks. Silliness this week.
What's a forkerism?
Swapping out the ending consonants of two words for new meaning. I didn't even bother giving you examples of that. Oh,
okay. All right.
Those were just forkerisms.
That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just read one recently, which was Samuel Goldwyn when he was on set for a movie. Felt they needed more extras. They were filming a Western. I can't remember what movie it was, but apparently he said, "We need more extras. Go get some Indians off the reservoir." So that would be a malaprop.
Right. The two that are oft repeated in my family is someone years and years ago. I don't know who it was. Said one time they were so mad they were skicking and creaming. Which I always thought was great. And then I think one time when I was a kid, you'll recall that there was the Buttercrust Bakery in San Antonio.
Yep. Yeah, sure. Down on Broadway. Yeah.
Yep. And we were driving by, and apparently I said, "Ooh, can you smell the bed breaking?"
And if you can, there's something wrong with you. What is it?
Right.
I had a few that I actually said as a kid where I remember where I would flip words. And I don't know if that fits into this, but instead of a shortcut, I would say cut short.
Oh, really?
Let's take the cut short to get there. And then apparently I would refer to not the knee, but the nebo. Because elbow, nebo.
Oh, yeah.
I would call it a nebo. And
right.
And the other one that I used to do a lot was because we'd look for the little birds as we were driving along. We call them chaparrals, but they'd also be known as, apparently I thought, run rotors.
Right. Close enough.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Right.
I'm trying to think of any others. I think that's it. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That is. That's a nice salve and a palate cleanser from last week. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, folks, to our inane yammerings, and hope you like and subscribe and do all those good things. You can reach out to us at dreamidiots.com, email us, dreamidiotspodcast@gmail.com, the aforementioned Instagram, Facebook, all those good things, and let us know what you think.
Sounds good. Take care, everybody. Be good to each other.